Hello everyone and welcome to the Den. Today we're going to make homemade spaghetti sauce, as you know by the title. And I'm going to show you start to finish how I do my sauce. It might be different than how you're used to making sauce, but this is just an easy way to make a homemade sauce. Typically I would use garden fresh tomatoes, but we've used up all those from this year. So we're going to use canned tomatoes today, and canned as in canned from the store, because I also don't have any canned tomatoes on hand as either. So let's get started. First we're going to do vegetable prep, and then I'll show you how I put everything together in the pot. Okay, so for the base for the vegetables for my sauce, I got 2 good sized onions and 2 good sized green peppers, and then I'm gonna have in mine a pound of mushrooms. You don't have to do mushrooms if you don't like mushrooms in your sauce. I think it adds good flavor, and I like mushrooms, so I'm gonna use the whole thing of mushrooms. And then I would usually use fresh garlic, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to use my minced garlic when we get to that point. So I'm going to go ahead and dice up my vegetables, and I'll put you on fast forward so you don't have to, so you can see how I dice, but you don't have to sit there the whole time. And then we'll get everything going in the pot. Okay, so I'm going to get my big pot here. I'm going to stick this on the stove. And as I'm chopping, I'm gonna add in my onions and my green peppers. So what I'm gonna do is, I would normally do this over the stove, but I'm just gonna add in olive oil at the bottom, just enough to cover the bottom like that. And then just set your heat to medium. And then as you're chopping, you're gonna add the onions in as you're chopping, so that way you can keep working the board. Okay, so as you're chopping your onions, don't worry so much about okay, this is what I'm gonna say. I use an immersion blender on mine at the end, so it makes a smooth sauce. My kids aren't too keen on chunks, so if you're gonna leave yours chunky, then cut the onion and the green pepper to whatever size you think fits best for you. But for me, I'm not super worried about the chop size, and it doesn't have to be uniform or anything like that, because as this cooks all day, it's gonna get real soft, and then I'm gonna put that immersion blender in at the very end, so everything is gonna be real smooth. So keep that in mind. If you're gonna do a chunky sauce, then think about your chop size. I'm not really considering my chop size right now, because like I said, the immersion blender will make it smooth. But I put the onions in first because they take the longest to sweat down. And then I will add my green peppers, and then I will add my tomatoes. But for right now, we have the onions in. So it's on medium heat. So as you're chopping your green peppers, just make sure that if you need to stir up your onion on that medium heat, that you do that while you're chopping. Okay, so you can see my onions are sweating here. They're looking pretty good. So I'm just gonna let those keep cooking while I cut my green pepper. You saw how I chopped my green pepper. So I'm going to add my green peppers in one at a time. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the one in I have ready now. And I'm gonna let that start cooking with it. And I'm just gonna mix it up as it's cooking. If you think that you need to add more oil, just add a little bit more oil. Sometimes I do that. Actually, it looks like it might need just a smidge more oil. That way you don't have anything sticking to the bottom. And I'm gonna chop my other green pepper, and then we're gonna add our garlic. Okay, we're gonna add our last green pepper in here. To give that a stir. Oh, we got a little browning at the bottom, but that's okay. So those peppers will cook down I don't worry about sweating them as much as the onion, but either way it's really not going to matter. It's going to cook so long that it's going to be soft. And then now we're going to add in our garlic. And I'm just going to do 2 big blobs of garlic here. Now we're ready to start adding in our tomatoes. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna use diced tomatoes. I'm just gonna start pouring in my cans. What's nice about these cans is they have a pull top lid. I don't have to sit here with a can opener. It's terrible. I'm using 6 cans of tomatoes. Now you're gonna give this a stir.
Wow, it looks so nice to eat.
Nice and colorful, huh?
It looks so good.
Now normally I would just dump a bunch of fresh tomatoes in here, skin and all. I just cored, and then when I use fresh tomatoes, I'll cut them in. I'll squeeze out the seeds and like the juice that's inside the tomato, and I just throw it all in here with the skin and everything, because the immersion blender will take care of most of the skins. I'm gonna turn my heat up to high, and now we're gonna get our spices out. So even though I added garlic, I'm still gonna do granulated garlic as well. Let me find my onion because I'm gonna use that too.
What? No, I'm not.
Gonna grab your oregano.
Melted.
Probably at least a tablespoon of that. And then we're gonna grab bay leaves. You're gonna want to count your bay leaves because you're gonna have to remove your bay leaves. So let me stir this up first. I'm gonna add 1 can of chicken broth to this. See what our level looks like. All right, so add your broth in. This is going to cook down, so it's gonna kind of seem watery at first, but it will be okay as it cooks. You're gonna need some liquid. All right, I'm gonna stir that up. And I just kind of smell too. I go by smell too, because it's gonna be a while before I can taste this and know if I need to add anything. But it smells good. So we're gonna add in our bay leaves, and I do 8.
I'm looking at it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
How much calories
All right.
does it have?
Watch out. This is hot, dude. I'm just going to give this another stir. And then the last thing that I'm going to add in here is my mushrooms. So I'm going to give those a quick slice. I'm trying not to break your bay leaves so you're not fishing out a ton of pieces.
Yeah.
And I have this set to high right now because I'm going to bring this to a boil. But I'm also going to add in my mushrooms as soon as I have them cut. Okay, so it's nice and thick and chunky, which I honestly would prefer to leave it like this, but because my kids will need the chunks, the blender will take care of that. But this is going to all cook down, and you can see it's starting to boil all over. And as soon as this comes to a pretty good boil, I'm going to turn it down to low, and I'm going to let it cook for the next at least 3.5 hours. You could cook this for longer. You can cook it all day, but 3.5 hours is about the amount of time I have today, so that will be fine. So right now I'm just going to let it cook and do its thing, and we'll be back. It's pretty good boiling right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cover it. I leave it kind of open just a little, and I'm going to turn it down to right above low. And I'm just going to let it cook all day long. And I'll come back and give it a stir, and then as it's probably in about an hour, I'll give it a taste and see what I need to add. Okay, so it's been over an hour now, and I'm going to stir. It's still bubbling, obviously. Should be doing that. I'm going to give it a good stir. All right, so this is going to be my first taste. See what we're doing here. It's going to be very hot. Okay, so we're gonna need, I'm gonna put some chicken bouillon in here. Add some depth to the flavor. I'm also gonna add pepper, if I can find it. And then I'm gonna stir that in. Okay, I think that tastes pretty good, so I'm just gonna let it continue to cook. I'm going to turn the heat to medium for now. Let it come back up, because as you stir your pot, it cools down. So we want to get that back up to a simmer. So I'm gonna turn it up to medium till it starts bubbling pretty good again. Then I'll turn it back down to low. And then we'll come back and check this in a little bit. Okay, so this is my immersion blender, and I'm just gonna, well, the heat is still on and everything. I'm just gonna start blending this. Be very careful, because if it comes outside of this, whatever you're making, it will splatter everywhere. Okay, so you can see how using the immersion blender made that nice and thick. And you can see there how much thicker this sauce is now. If you're looking to sneak veggies in on your kids, this is a really good way to do it, because they'll never know. I'm gonna let this continue to cook for about a half an hour or more, just to let it reduce down a little bit more. It's good right now, it's good to go. But also, as you're going through the day, you know, you're gonna taste that too. Like, I added a little bit more seasoning to this, but the vegetables really give it a really good flavor. So the onion and the garlic and the peppers, even the mushrooms add a really deep depth of flavor. So this is how I really like to make. This is the only way that I make it. I don't add meat. Whenever we do this, it's like a meatless Monday or whatever, whatever day, meatless Thursday, whatever day we're gonna have this. I don't add any meat to this. I don't think it needs it. So I will make this with spaghetti or lasagna. We were gonna have this tonight, but then my husband decided that we were gonna have different plans, which they go figure. So I'm going to actually save this until tomorrow, and it's actually better to me reheated. So all I will do is I will let this reduce down for a little bit longer, and then I'll put it in a container in the fridge. So I will put this away tonight, and we will have it tomorrow. But this is how I make my spaghetti sauce, and it's really not even that hard, and it's really, really good. So if you follow along these instructions, then you can make your own spaghetti sauce too. Okay, so that's gonna do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video about how to make your own spaghetti sauce. And don't forget, before you use that immersion blender, to pull out your bay leaves. I didn't show that part, but do not get those in there. That will taste, they just don't soften. It's just like eating a hard, dry leaf. So make sure you pull those out. But anyways, if you like this video and you got something from it and you wanna see more, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. I super, super appreciate it. And also check out my vlog channel. I'll link it down below. And next coming up is, I think I'm gonna do bread and pasta. And we're just gonna run through some different recipes that we do here. And I'm also thinking about doing an entire playlist on budget-friendly meal ideas. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.